And also to have Andrea Peterson with us, the tech reporter with the Center for American Progress's blog Think Progress, thinkprogress.org, which I frequently am quoting here on the air. Andrea, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
Thanks.
I'm really glad to be here.
Thanks for joining us. You wrote a brilliant piece titled, and in fact that's, I guess, my question, the massive online surveillance program no one's talking about. Tell us about it.
So while a lot of people were sort of freaking out about the PRISM program that was talked about during the leaks last week, there was a few other details in the Washington Post original reporting about another program called, codenamed Blarney, which looks at metadata as it streams across the fiber optic infrastructure of the internet. Now, The Guardian over the weekend released another slide that referenced Blarney when they were discussing whether or not there was actually direct access to tech servers via PRISM, that described it as an upstream method of data collection, or an option for data collection, that allows them to basically harvest information, like specifically metadata, so not the communications content, but other technical aspects about web traffic as it goes across the backbone of the internet.
Now, Susan Landau, who's a tech over at Sun Microsystems, is being quoted in this article in the New Yorker, perhaps you've seen this, saying that metadata can actually be more intrusive than individual phone calls. If you knew, for example, that a corporate executive was talking with an investment banker and was talking with, certain other people, you could easily conclude that a merger was about to happen and buy or sell stock based on that. If you saw that a woman had just had a phone call with her gynecologist and then made a phone call to an oncologist and then made a phone call to, her mother or daughter or whatever, to a close family friend, you could conclude. The metadata can be actually much more revealing than the contents of an individual conversation.
I think that's absolutely accurate. The thing is that via metadata, via telephone or internet traffic data, you can infer an awful lot about somebody's real life. You can talk about who they're talking to, where they're going, like physically, their geolocation. There are just a lot of very scary possibilities, which is why it's really interesting to me that the administration has made such a point of saying we're not looking at communications content, so nobody freak out, when in fact a lot of the stuff that they're gathering is very, very invasive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So where did this come from, this program? When did it start? And under what authority does it operate? And has it been outsourced and privatized to private corporations who are unanswerable to things like FOIA requests?
So honestly, a big problem with discussing Blarney as of right now is that we don't have a lot of that information. What we do know is that it appears to have an awful lot of similarities to the program that's being described in an ongoing lawsuit brought by the Electronic Frontier Foundation, Joule versus NSA, and that lawsuit relies on data from Mark Klein, a whistleblower and former AT&T employee who has testified and provided some documentation that while he was working in a San Francisco AT&T office, NSA agents came into the facility and set up a splitter directly to the fiber optic cables. Then essentially a copy of all the traffic that went through that facility was routed to another room where it could be diverted to an entirely separate network. So the AT&T, there was also a separate case, Hetling versus AT&T, that EFF was litigating first, but it was dismissed after the retroactive immunity for the telecom companies, and then this Joule case started up. So if Blarney is the same program that it is referenced in Joule versus NSA, it's been going on for quite some time.
Right. Well, it seems that most of these go back at some of them before 2001, but I have in my hands here, to paraphrase Joe McCarthy. The declassified National Security Agency Central Security Service Transition 2001 document, and it was classified Secret X1 Com Int, whatever that means, but it's been declassified. And they make one interesting comment toward the end. Make no mistake, NSA can and will perform its missions consistent with the Fourth Amendment and all applicable laws. But senior leadership must understand that today's and tomorrow's missions will demand a powerful, permanent presence on a global telecommunications network that will host the, quote, protected, end quote, communications of Americans, as well as the targeted communications of adversaries. It sounds to me like by saying that they're going to host the protected communications of Americans as well as the targeted communications of adversaries, they're saying that rather than seizing this stuff, as the Fourth Amendment would imply, a seizure, a search, that by hosting it, they're getting around the Fourth Amendment. Any knowledge of that? Thoughts on that? Has there been any follow-up to this? I believe this was just very recently declassified.
I'd have to take a little bit of look at that documentation before I'd feel comfortable specifically commenting on that. Mm-hmm. But I would say that we know from the Verizon order that was leaked last week that FISA courts have essentially authorized the NSA to collect a lot of that data. Now, whether or not they're looking through that without specific FISA court approval, as the Director of National Intelligence has said in declassified documents to sort of clear up confusion about the program, it's certainly very questionable to me personally that the agency would be collecting all of that data to or at least have the possibility. This is ability to collect that data.
This is where we need this national conversation. The other thing that concerns me is that I would like my good old-fashioned boring government bureaucrats back. The people who earn a good middle-class salary, they've got a pension, 40 years and they're out. They don't care about politics or administration. They just do their job. They have been so replaced now by people like Ed Snowden making $200,000 a year. And his CEO making $3 million last year, and these contractors are not subject to FOIA and things like that. Mm-hmm. We have just a half a minute left here, Andrea, but do you see any rolling back of this whole Reaganomics thing of privatizing the functions of government?
Well, first I'd say that Booz Allen Hamilton has now said that Snowden was not accurately quoting the amount that he was making there. They're saying it was like $122,000 a year, although who knows if that included a bonus structure or overtime pay. Right. But I think the larger issue than contractors is the surveillance problem.
Yeah. Okay. And we need to be having a national conversation on that. You're one of the people leading it. Andrea Peterson over at the Center for American Progress's blog, thinkprogress.org. Brilliant writing, Andrea. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Tom. It's been a pleasure.
Give our very best to your colleagues there, too.
Thank you.
15 minutes past the hour.